the Fray. Remember Kamala Harris's campaign slogan? We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back.
We are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back.
You know, I think she was right. I think that's true, but not in the way she meant it. You know what I mean? We're not going back to liberal democracy. We're not going back to civility politics. We're not going back to a country where both sides agree on the rules of engagement. That world is dead. And you can cry for it if you want. I get it. You know, it's everything you've ever known. I get crying about it, but I personally will not be crying about it. I will not be mourning it. Trump, at the end of the day, is a destroyer. And some of what he destroys deserves it. Sorry to say. Much of it doesn't. But just as a forest fire clears the way for new growth, the fire of Trump clears the way for the emergence of new paradigms. And right now, MAGA stands to author the new order. Now, is it because they're smarter? We've seen interviews with these people, so we know that ain't the case. Is it because they're better? Well, I don't know. I think the reason is that they're the only side that seems to recognize the emergence of a new order at all. The left, meanwhile, is stuck in denial mode, desperate to stop the fire like some low-rent Smokey Bear. Only you can prevent Trump fires. You ain't stopping the fire, baby. You ain't bringing back what's already burned. Let me say this clearly. We're not going back. I will not pine for what is dead. I will not weep for what is dying. It had its time, and its time is over. A new time has begun, and in this time, we need new ideas, bold ideas, the kinds of ideas that have been gatekept out of liberal and leftist spaces for far too long. To you gatekeepers out there, to you self-important cowards, the ones who shit on bold ideas and deride them as crazy, I have a question for you. Where has your pragmatism gotten you? Where has your practicality gotten you? Defeated, discarded, watching everything that you fought for crumble to dust. And why? Because a man with stupid and wildly impractical ideas kicked your fucking ass. And I'm glad he did. Because it's time for you to adapt or die. Let me tell you how it will be. You will stop with this nonstop repetition of what a fascist Trump is. You know why? Because America doesn't care. After nearly a decade of calling the man a fascist, a dictator, and the reincarnation of Hitler, he became the first Republican to win the popular vote in 20 years. This message of yours, it ain't landing. It never landed. It's time to drop it. If people don't believe it by now, a few more years of screaming isn't going to do the trick. And let's be real. Plenty of people in this country want fascism. They may not like the word, but they love the reality of it. Oh, they want big daddy government to tell them what to do. And what does the left offer them instead? A powerless, tepid, weak little mess. Well, maybe we'll give you something. Maybe tax credits, would that do it? None of your attacks on Trump will ever land until anyone believes for a second that you can do better. And the weak, uninspired nothingness of the Joe Biden presidency proved that you can't. Joe Biden was a powerless little pushover. Trump has Elon Musk firing everybody, stealing government data, shutting down entire departments with practically nothing standing in his way. When the courts try to stop Trump, he threatens the judges. When someone stands in his way, he crushes them with the full might of his power. What did Joe Biden do? He couldn't even get Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema in line. If he really gave a shit, those two would have been terrified to oppose his agenda. But they weren't. Why not? Because Biden was a civility politics pussy who didn't get the memo that that era of American politics is deader than disco, baby. Civility is gone. Power is the only game. And if we're honest, it always was. It's over. The old norms are dead. Trump understands that. His movement embraces that. Meanwhile, the left clings to outdated notions of decorum, respectability, while their enemies rewrite the rules in real time. MAGA does not ask for permission. It doesn't wring its hands over, oh, is that fair? Is that bipartisan? You know what it does instead? It just takes what it wants. And if the left wants to survive, it needs to learn how to take as well. It's time to abandon the futile strategy of moral outrage and lean into power. Not just electoral power, actual power. The ability to dictate reality instead of merely reacting to it. The power to impose rather than to negotiate. To shape the future rather than just beg for a seat at the table, or worse yet, beg for little scraps. Maybe a crumb will fall down here and then I'll have something too. The left needs to stop being the whimpering pseudo-opposition and start being a force of reckoning. Because American politics is a full contact sport and there is no more room for that kind of weakness. The American people do not give a bumblebee's big old tits about middle-of-the-road policies that are watered down from the jump. You want votes? Give people something to vote for. It's not that hard, you fucking morons. They want houses. They want cheap gas, cheap food. They want cities without rotting buildings and homeless tents. They want to feel safe walking down the street. They want to be able to afford to do fun shit, take a trip, see a show, eat a nice dinner. If they have a family, they want to keep it fed and happy. How the fuck did you idiots lose sight of this basic shit? Oh, wait. I know. Started taking too much money from the scumfuck parasites who thrive on other people's misery. The class of subhuman filth who despise everyday people and want them trapped and miserable and obedient. I speak, of course, of the architects of submission. This is the battlefield now. It's not left versus right. That's over. It's not Democrat versus Republican. That's over too. Now there are only those who shape the world and those who allow the world to shape them. The active versus the passive. Are you a force of creation? Or are you just another piece to be moved on somebody else's board. Because in the end, there is no given path. There is only the one that you carve by daring to walk forward, despite what stands in your way.
Help me feed the dark gods of the YouTube algorithm by subscribing, liking, and commenting. Also, whether you're a current subscriber or a new one, make sure you've hit that silly little alert bell. If you want to go a step further, check the link in the description and share this video with a friend